Okay. Yes, ma'am. It's not showing up there. Showing up on my one second. Yes, ma'am. If you want to try to reload, I've got four people right now. Okay, I can stay on the line, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, go ahead and start the ceremony about no problem,
Ladies and gentlemen, you are reminded to please silence your cell phones for the duration of the ceremony. Military guests are to remain covered and render appropriate honors. The ceremony will begin in 5 minutes.
No, she's floating around here. She's part of my coat. Oh, so she's floating around here somewhere. How you guys doing?
I didn't go counting today, but there was like what's a bad place to sit? Are you using camera?
Yes, I apologize. I can go that way if that helps. Okay.
Well, if not,
Okay, no worries. I'll keep it this side, sir. It's not an issue.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the Submarine Group 9 Change of Command. Attending today's ceremony are senior military officers, civilian officials, commanding officers of ships and shore activities, as well as families and friends of Admiral Perry and Admiral Gaucher. We are honored by your presence. Guests, please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing during our national anthem and the invocation. Bosun, post aside, boys.
Post aside, boys. Post to the dime. Side, boys. Left or right, please.
Subgru 9, arriving. Rear Admiral, United States Navy, arriving. Sub-Pack, arriving. Color Guard, parade the colors.
Color guard, hut and shut. Carry, color. Forward, march. Color guard, halt. Left, face. Present, arm.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Color Guard, retire the colors.
Order, arm. Ready, two. Mark time, march. Load rank, march. Color guard, halt. Right, face. Forward, march.
Ready? 2. Chaplain Walton will deliver the invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, as we celebrate this change of command, we reflect on the outstanding work that Rear Admiral Perry has done here at Subgroup 9. We look forward to his successes with Director, Underseas Warfare Division for the CNO. We ask your blessings on Rear Admiral Gaucher as he assumes command and eagerly anticipate the great things he would do. Amen.
Guests, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Rear Admiral Doug Perry, Commander, Submarine Group 9.
Turn this thing on here. We'll figure out how to get this turned on here in a second. Everybody hear me okay? Yep. Okay. Hey, good morning. I'm going to start off by thanking my boss for bringing the Hawaii weather here on this great day. So, for everyone, thank you for being here, whether you're in person, a lot virtually. We did have to limit attendance to stay within Governor Inslee's Washington State health guidelines. They've recently just changed. But I am so grateful that we are able to hold this ceremony in public today so that we might unofficially reunite Team Bangor with the broader Pacific Northwest community. It's meaningful and proper for us to have here with us to witness and partake in this event. It is just as vital to connect with one another, for our social bonds and our community relationships form the sense of belonging so unique to this Pac Northwest submarine community, and they are vital to the health and wellness of our families and our mission readiness, something we learned in spades during the COVID pandemic. It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce my boss and today's guest speaker, Rear Admiral Jeff Jablon, Commander Submarine Forces Pacific. Rear Admiral Jablon is a true warfighter, a submariner who embodies the spirit, the tenacity, vision, and compassion of our submarine force heroes, like Gene Fluckey, Mush Morton. While Admiral Hyman G. Rickover is considered the father of our nuclear navy, Admiral Jablon is, by all accounts, the mentor of today's submarine force. He holds the title of being the longest-serving prospective commanding officer instructor, PCOI, during which time he essentially trained every afloat executive officer, commanding officer, and then for the succeeding years, pretty much every commanding officer afloat and every Commodore was Jablon trained. Furthermore, he served as a submarine force head detailer, and prior to relieving at SubPac, he served as the Navy's Director of Personnel Policy and Plans. Frankly, no officer in recent history has had a more profound impact on our submarine commanding officers' tactical prowess and toughness, and that is their ability to fight and to win, or been more effective at adapting our personnel policies to the needs of our sailors, officers, and chiefs today. Now, command is the foundation of our Navy. Authority, responsibility, accountability, and expertise. And it is the trust and confidence. They are truly the coins of the realm that are built by officers like Jeff Jablon. My predecessor at Deterrent 5, then my counterpart at Submarine Group 10, Jeff Jablon has set warfighting and people as his SubPac priorities and is boldly leading this Pacific Submarine Force during this incredibly exciting time in the Pacific. Ladies and gentlemen, Rear Admiral Jeff Jablon, Commander Submarine Force Pacific.
Doug, thank you for that kind introduction. You know, it's just incredible. I'm really humbled by your words. And it really is indeed a great pleasure to be back in the Pacific Northwest. A little bit chillier than Hawaii. I was on the beach in Hawaii this Saturday, but this is fantastic with the sun and a little warmer than yesterday. So Rear Admiral Aiken, Rear Admiral Barnett, Rear Admiral Sharp, Major Commanders, Commanding Officers, families, friends, and staff of Commander Submarine Group 9, good morning and aloha. Aloha. Well done. Yeah. Okay, let's do that again. Aloha. Aloha. Ah, excellent. Way to lead the charge, Rob. All right.
Time on the pond there.
Yeah, a little time on the pond. So today we'll observe the time-honored Navy tradition where the complete authority, responsibility, and accountability of Submarine Group 9 will be transferred from Rear Admiral Doug Perry to Rear Admiral Rob Gaucher. I'm sure some of you know by reading our bios, and I don't think this has ever happened before, but up on the podium today are 3 alumni of Deterrent 5. So Doug relieved me as Commodore, and Rob relieved Doug as Commodore. And I see Gary Montalvo out there in the audience, and he's probably thinking to himself, what have I gotten myself into? So before we go any further, I do want to give a shout out to the Color Guard, and I don't know the petty officers that sing the national anthem, but just a fantastic job. So let's give a big hand. Well done. I also want to welcome the most important people in the audience today, Joining Doug today is his wife Joanne, who traveled from Northern Virginia to be here. And unfortunately, their daughters, Gigi and Ellie, who is starting plebe summer at the Naval Academy, and Maddie, a sophomore at DePauw University, are watching and supporting from afar. And additionally, Doug's parents, Al and Marcia Perry, are tuning in and watching on Facebook Live from Vermont. So welcome to everybody in the virtual environment. And joining Rob today is his wife Renee and his daughters, Allie, who attends the University of Central Florida, and Kate, who attends the University of Florida. Also, Rob's parents, Robert and Nancy, are watching from Florida, so welcome. Welcome to you all, and I know this is a very special day, and I know it means a lot to both Doug and Rob to have your love and support. So thank you for being here. And all of us who can serve can only do with the dedication and support of our loved ones. So I thank both the Perry and Gaucher families, including those who couldn't join us here today, for their support of these two amazing officers, and in doing so for their service to our country. So thank you. So some of you are probably asking yourself, why are we standing on a deck of a submarine in the middle of a parking lot with no body of water in sight? Good question. And I'm told some skipper clearly took a wrong turn and surfaced here. But sorry for that poor attempt at humor. So I'll give you a little bit of history about this if you're not familiar with Deterrent Park. This serves to the memorial for the 41 for Freedom, the name given to the 41 SSBNs across 4 classes of ballistic missile submarines that carried a large part of our Navy's strategic deterrence workload before the current Ohio class would put into service. This platform is a replica of the missile deck of the USS Woodrow Wilson, one of our Lafayette-class submarines from the 60s. The sail to my right and the top of the rudder across the street are the actual submarine structures from the Wilson before the rest of the hull was cut up for razor blades. Wilson was in service for over 31 years and completed 71 strategic deterrent patrols. It ranged from patrols out of Charleston, Rota, Faslane, Scotland, and Guam. In the later years of her life, she was converted to a fast attack submarine, carrying out special operations missions and patrols. So it's useful to reflect on our history, because today, as we expand our operations out of Guam and occasionally send our SSBNs to Scotland, Faslane, and Guam, and demonstrate our commitment to our allies, it's important to understand that it is not necessarily new ground for our force, and it is the team here in Bangor, led by Doug Perry, who carry on that tradition. The talented teams of sailors and civilians who make up Submarine Group 9 and Team Bangor are critical to our submarine force and our Navy. It is this team that makes the Navy's most powerful combination of submarine assets, our SSBNs and SSGNs, operate so skillfully. The strategic mission of our SSBNs, as well as the strike and special operations capabilities of our SSGNs, are vital to our Navy's undersea warfighting dominance and national defense. Strategic deterrence, underpinned by our SSBN force here in Bangor, have unwritten our nation's security and preserved our way of life for some time. Of course, I can't come to Deterrent Park without talking about our #1 mission that's carried out in Bangor, which is the country's #1 mission of strategic deterrence. I tell you, that mission is taken for granted, and it is the mission with which the sailors stationed in Bangor are most familiar. If the Navy could send only one submarine to sea, it would be an SSBN, because it is the most survivable platform on which strategic deterrence is executed. You have to get that mission right before you can do anything else, for strategic deterrence is the bedrock of our national defense. It's hard today to appreciate the level of sacrifice that occurred during World War II. Around the globe during that war, 1 million people were killed per month. 1 million per month for over 4.5 years. Our veterans secured victory for us in that terrible conflict, but they secured something else as well. A way to prevent major power war in the future, and that way was through strategic deterrence. The world has not seen conflict on the scale of World War II since the advent of our strategic forces. We have seen conflict, yes, terrible conflict, but nothing near the scale of World War II. We can thank untold numbers of our SSBN sailors who silently stood the watch for over 70 years deterring and preventing major power conflict. So now if we could get 2 submarines underway, the other one would be an SSGN. With its incredible firepower and soft capability, our SSGNs deter military aggression and are ready for the fight, enhancing security, stability, and prosperity in the Asia-Pacific region, around the world, and at home. In order to carry out the missions of our tasked to our SSBNs or GNs, our submarine crews must be focused on warfighting and ready for the fight at all times. It's that responsibility which Doug remained focused on, providing that our SSBNs and GNs in Bangor were properly manned, trained, and equipped, and focused on accomplishing any task asked of them. Our submarines here in the Pacific Northwest under Rear Admiral Perry's leadership have achieved this mission time and time again because of his outstanding leadership, and they are the world's most capable submarines operated by the world's most capable crews. I don't believe Group 9's undeniable success under Doug's leadership is happenstance, nor it is a result of a 2-star back in Pearl Harbor telling him to just get it done. No, Admiral Perry exhibited remarkable leadership and keen strategic vision to ensure his commanding officers and sailors have the right training, skills, and confidence they need. Doug, your performance as commander of Submarine Group 9 and as the leader of this amazing Bangor team has been outstanding. Under your leadership, this team has been responsible for 10 of the most capable and most powerful naval platforms the world has ever known, and more importantly, 20 crews of outstanding SSBN and GN submarine warriors. Allow me to highlight some of Doug Perry's outstanding accomplishments during his tenure. Guiding 2 submarine squadrons, 20 SSBN GN submarine crews, a submarine support center, a Trident refit facility, and 3 reserve units, Doug ensured the nation's strategic ballistic missile submarines and 4 deployed guided missile submarines continued to meet all tasking despite the unprecedented challenges of the coronavirus pandemic. Doug oversaw the successful completion of 52 SSBN maintenance availabilities, including 2 complex extended refit periods, ensuring that Submarine Group 9 BNs were material ready to deploy. He led the integrated Pacific Northwest and strategic teams that returned USS Maine to service following her engineering refueling overhaul. This combined team championed the decision to adjust Maine's return to service timeline, giving the crew sufficient time to prepare, resulting in one of the best demonstration and shakedown operation performances in history. Under Doug's leadership, his crews provided a rare opportunity for 3rd Fleet surface units to conduct familiarization training on submarine communications. The first of its kind training, it allowed all units to actively participate in a joint exercise with Task Force 114.3, focusing on TACON and submarine communications. Ensuring the continued reliability of submarine logistics aboard operational units in a COVID environment, Doug pushed for the execution of the import supply management inspections. In total, 17 SMIs were conducted under his leadership. Doug also expanded the Submarine Force commercial off-the-shelf drone program to enhance counter-drone systems in defense of our strategic systems, reducing the threat of unmanned aerial system incursions. He also managed to take a whole command away from SubPAC headquarters in sunny Hawaii and move it here to the Pacific Northwest, which was just turned over yesterday. Directing the transition of Task Force Group 114.3 from Submarine Force U.S. Pacific Fleet to Submarine Group 9, Doug executed an aggressive plan to ensure all systems, personnel, and policies were in place for flexible command and control of our strategic forces. Well done, Doug. Congratulations on a fantastic job, Doug, and I know you're excited to be going back with Joanne to DC, and you're the perfect fit as you transition to ZOPNAV N97, and I'll be calling you for money.
Yeah,
Rob, as you listen to me listing all of Doug's accomplishments, I know you're taking notes, and I also know that you continue the upward trajectory that Admiral Perry has set. Rear Admiral Gaucher comes to us after completing a tremendous tour of PAC Fleet. And Rob, based on your resume to include Commodore Deveron 5, I have no doubt your leadership will bring this command continued success. Rob and Renee, welcome back to Bangor. I know you're happy to be returning to the submarine force in the Pacific And with your experience and leadership, coupled with the outstanding staff here at Group 9, this crucial command will continue to excel. You're the right man for the job. As I close, I would like to emphasize what Admiral Perry said before, what are my priorities for SubPac, which are warfighting and people. There's no way we can win a conflict if called upon without the people. And if called to fight, we will only have one chance to get it right. We must continue to equip our sailors with unmatched capabilities and enable them to become the masters of their specialties. We must instill and cultivate a culture of excellence across the force, living up to our signature behaviors, putting our team and mission above ourselves. We must also embrace and empower a culture of warfighting spirit in all we do. It is my task to frame SubPac's peacetime missions, exercises, and day-to-day operations in the context of combat and mission command in order to understand, prepare, and be ready to scale and integrate seamlessly during times of conflict. In time of war, the submarine force will be called upon to lead the way, to set the conditions, and provide all domain access for the rest of the joint force. Submarine Group 9 is unquestionably part of that lethal solution, and I rely daily on you as an indispensable part of my strategy. Before I close, I want to take a moment to thank the sailors, officers, and civilians at Group 9 for their hard work and commitment to this nation. I'm extremely proud of your accomplishments. The importance of your tireless efforts cannot be understated, and I thank you immensely. Congratulations again to Doug and Rob, and thank you for joining us here today. May God bless our great nation, the United States Navy, and our submarine force. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rear Admiral Jablon will now present recognition to Admiral Perry. Admiral Jablon, will you please join Admiral Perry for the presentation of the award? Will the guests please rise for the presentation of the award? The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Legion of Merit to Rear Admiral Douglas Gordon Perry, United States Navy, for service as set forth in the following citation. For exceptionally meritorious service as Commander, Submarine Group 9, from January 2019 to June 2021. His leadership substantially contributed to the success of strategic deterrence, the Department of Defense's #1 mission. Guiding 2 submarine squadrons, 20 submarine crews, a submarine support center, a Trident refit facility, and 3 reserve units, he ensured the nation's strategic ballistic missile submarines and forward deployed guided missile submarines continued to meet all assigned tasking, despite the unprecedented challenges of the coronavirus pandemic. Directing the historic transition of Task Group 114.3 Tactical Command from Submarine Force U.S. Pacific Fleet to Submarine Group 9, he executed an aggressive plan to ensure all systems, personnel, and policies were in place for flexible command and control of our strategic forces. He expanded the submarine force's commercial off-the-shelf drone program to enhance counter-drone systems in defense of strategic assets. His astute leadership to reduce the threat of unmanned aerial system incursions improved the integrated response, making the Pacific Northwest the gold standard for Department of Defense and Homeland Security for countering unmanned aircraft systems. He also spearheaded the development of a refined Pacific guided missile submarine operation and maintenance model, optimizing combat readiness and improving maintenance execution. By his superior leadership, commendable innovation, and inspiring dedication to duty, Rear Admiral Perry reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. For the President, Admiral S.J. Paparo, United States Navy. Commander, U.S. Pacific Fleet. Yes, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Rear Admiral Douglas Perry, Commander, Submarine Group 9.
All right, good morning. Admiral Jablon, thank you for presiding over the ceremony today and for your remarks. I really appreciate your guidance, your friendship, and the teamwork over the years. It's been a pleasure working for you for this short time. I'm truly excited to support you from N97 as you lead the Pacific Submarine Force. There's a lot of people in the audience. I literally know every person in the audience today, which is pretty neat. But I'd also like to recognize a few folks in the audience. Rear Admiral Jim Aiken, his wife Tirza, Admiral B.D. Barnett, his wife Naima, and Rear Admiral Ed Anderson might be out there somewhere here in town, and out there in virtual land. I do want to recognize for myself and for my shipmates here, Vice Admiral Barry Costello and Rear Admiral Jamie Kelly, who, especially during COVID, were real shipmates for the flag officers here in the Pac Northwest. We established a Pac Northwest Warfighters Club, if you will, and really leaned on those two exemplary leaders over the past year. Major commanders assembled and virtual guests and Group 9 staff, thank you all for making the time to be here and for making time to watch from home. I'd like to start off by welcoming Renee and Rob, Allie and Katie back to Kitsap. I know everyone in the audience is excited to have the Gauchers back here in the Pac Northwest, and I want to welcome your family and guests who are watching from home. As Admiral Jablon said, this is a proud day for them as well, and I know how invaluable their friendship and their support is. So sincere thanks to the extended Gaucher Ohana for enabling Rob and Renee to serve so effectively. Again, to the Navy Band and the vocalist, fantastic. You know, your excellent music, Star Spangled Banner, were fantastic. You know, the whistle, the trumpet, the drums are by practice and tradition. They are our call to quarters and part of our ceremony, and so it's wonderful to have you here performing again in public. Before I get into the formal remarks, I do want to recognize a couple people who actually came in from out of town and who are special to us. Mike and Bonnie, thank you for being here. Denise and Gabrielle who are the wife and daughter of my best friend from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, from 25 years ago. Just got word they were coming into town just yesterday. Pam Hurst and Don Chulupka, who are just part of our Navy Submarine League and Navy League. They are submarine engineers. Key to have them here. Tom Zwolfer and Karen and my former chief of staff here, John Fancher. And there are more. Everyone, please don't leave before we eat all that cake out there. All right. As I reflected upon what to talk to you all about today, and I'm also looking at the camera, it became clear to me that setting the last 2 years in strategic context I thought was pretty essential. Just prior to taking command, I met with our then Submarine Force Commander, Admiral Chaz Richard, now STRATCOM, and he challenged me. He said, Doug, do not be content to make the trains just run on time. Improve the warfighting readiness of every crew, every patrol cycle, every deployment, and seek improvements to sustain our Ohio-class submarines out for the next 20 years. Somewhat of a daunting task. So I took command January of 2019, and throughout that first year, we were just crushing things. And I say we, I'm really looking at my Commodores, Chaz McClenathan, Mike Lewis, Rich Massey, and the NSSC, Jim Gillison here today. But that really set the stage for 2021, or 2020 and 2021. At that beginning, we were wholly focused on delivering combat-ready crews, manned by expert operators and on time for deployment. We completed the extended refueling overhaul, demonstration and shakedown operation Admiral Jablon mentioned of USS Maine. They crushed it. Did some great work on counter-UAS. Decommissioned my first ship, USS Pittsburgh, had a blowout party at the Horse and Cow. It was great. And then since decommissioned several other submarines. Throughout that year, the trains were running on time and then some. Now, throughout 2019, I would have told you that social distancing, I'm looking at Jerry Logan now, that it was a 50-mile bike ride with some friends. That ROM was something to do with CDs or DVDs, and a BioFires rapid test sounded like something you might need to put Benadryl cream on. I didn't know. But it was just a completely different world back in 2019. Then came March of 2020. COVID presented challenges on a scale all of us we simply had not faced before. We were all facing unknown threats to our health, our well-being, and it all impacted us. Well, you know, Puget Sound was really ground zero. It started in Seattle here in the United States. So while much of the nation shut down, maybe they went to virtual if they did anything, submarine operations, maintenance, and training, they continued to pace. They actually increased. So failure in this business was simply not an option. But success was not assured. And to top it off, we all had to learn new vocabularies and new functions. We had to learn about contact tracing. Now, I thought that was something we all did in kindergarten. And PUIs, I thought the FBI or NCIS did some of that. And then we had to get meals to ramming, that's now a verb, ramming sailors. That was, the opposite crew from our dual crewed submarines started delivering meals in what we called Team Banger DoorDash. We became fully conversant on all the various methods of COVID testing. I'm looking to some of my shipmates here who are running this business here. And the scale of that challenge was just immense when you look back at it. But Team Banger really responded phenomenally. Like a premier sports team scouting an opponent in preparation for an upcoming match, submarine leadership, in fact, came up with mitigation strategies for us to implement at our level in real time. And the Commodores, the commanding officers, the chiefs of the boat, they simply broke down the threat vectors. And yes, since ground zero was Seattle, the biggest threat vector was that ferry. All those ferries were threat vectors to here. We're like, do not get on a ferry. We actually put that kind of guidance out. We had to. Most significantly of all throughout this time, our sailors did not flinch. They didn't obsess over the distance of the entire marathon that they were going to have to run in order to accomplish the mission. They just focused on taking that next step each and every day. We never missed a mission, and in many cases, we exceeded our pre-COVID operational tempo. Now, I don't talk about COVID because it defined us or defined my assignment here, my command tour, but rather because it reaffirmed that our people are truly our greatest asset. Their commitment, their resilience, their character are what enable mission success through adversity. We affirm the importance of our personal commitment to our sailors, chiefs and officers, teaching, mentoring, and holding them accountable, as well as caring for them, consoling them, because there were losses across our broader families. Celebrating them when they did things well, as we always do. Those are the down payments on our nation's navies as asymmetric advantage. Now, most of you all know how tough this business is. Operating this submarine, Woodrow Wilson, I'll kind of walk through some of that history. 120 years ago, we submerged a cylinder made out of steel, then we went to a cylinder, a tube. Now we send that thing with 150 people to foreign shores to watch them, to collect surveillance, reconnaissance, trail their submarines and ships, because that's what the nation demands. Along the way, about 70 years ago, we put a nuclear reactor in it so we could stay submerged for months on end. Still not satisfied? A decade later, we accomplished a feat of human daring, launching a ballistic missile into space that flies up, and in the apogee, while it's in space, it turns, opens up a window, looks, sights the stars, gets a fix, and then falls to a target, hits literally the pitcher's mound about 5,000 miles away. That's pretty awesome. The monumental engineering achievements, though, they really come to life when young men and women take our submarines to sea. And it is truly illuminating that a ship like this Woodrow Wilson, USS Ohio, Michigan, we converted that years later to deliver over 100 plus Tomahawk cruise missiles, and then in an unparalleled teaming of man and machine, clandestinely launch unmanned undersea vehicles, Gary Montalvo, or Navy SEALs in the SEAL delivery vehicle, and those are my SSGN crews. They do that far forward battle space, far away from our shores, so that the rest of our maritime force, our rest of our joint force, can come in and get the job done. Incredibly exciting missions today and well into the future, all being done by young men and women around the globe. So it is a fantastic time to be in the Navy, a fantastic time to be a submariner, and a great time to be here at Team Banger. We just took tactical control of our Pacific SSBNs yesterday as Task Group 114.3, and that will enable us far into the future to more effectively command and control our submarines in the Pacific. And now, following many months. We have crews and staffs are vaccinated, Team Bangor fully re-engaged and at full throttle. NSSC is doing their work under Jim Gillison's leadership, and Squadron Commodores Chaz and Rich are out there assessing crews to be combat ready and to win. Leading these sailors is a crucial and sacred mission, and they deserve our very best. And I know that with my relief, Rob, they are getting just that. I am turning over to one of the most capable, forward-thinking officers in our submarine force. Rob, you know this team well. You've been here before, and I know you will continue to improve upon and add to the incredible legacy that they have built. I'm happy that you will be back here in the Pac Northwest, and I hope you and Renee enjoy this tour as much as I have. I look forward to supporting you and Admiral Jablon as N97. Please stop in every time. I'll want all the stories I can get about how things are going here. Now, people are our most important resource and in what is a highly technical mission area, so I would like to recognize a couple of people here in particular. I mentioned my great Commodores, Mike Lewis, Rich Massey at Squadron 19. They've just done phenomenal jobs, both in SSGN readiness, refueling Maine and now Louisiana, and retiring our Los Angeles class submarines. And they've had great shipmates. Jip Mossman and Mr. Daryl DeHaven at Enro and the shipyard were just great teammates throughout. Nick Tilbrook, then Todd Fingerbaum, Chaz McLenathan. They work seamlessly with our task group staff, now led by Kelly Lang here, and Dale Klein's Trident Training Facility, Bob Figgs's Trident Refit Facility, to deliver ready and motivated SSBN crews fully certified for mission. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that throughout all of this, especially during COVID, Shannon Johnson and her responsive medical team at Naval Hospital Bremerton, Mike Elmstrand, Keith Fallenkamp, and John Motor at Strategic Weapons Facility, the Marine Corps Security Force Battalion, just did phenomenal things to keep us ready, safe, and secure. Pam Love is back there. She deserves phenomenal recognition. We wouldn't be having the ceremony out here, so maybe I should thank you for the weather. Yeah. Everybody knows Pam. She makes things happen. Thanks for making all these important DV visits that have happened, not just in my time, but for years, just run as smooth as silk. Captain Rolf Spelker, he's in the back there. That guy's a workhorse. I really appreciate everything you've done for us here. I truly asked more than I deserved, and you delivered every day. Across the directorates, Eric Higgs oversaw more than 40 pre-deployment certification conferences and revamped the SSGN patrol cycle. Phenomenal. Joe Turk, not here today, but relentlessly pursued mentoring and training of our commanding officers or engineers on SSBN refit execution. Adam Bush and Chris Montminy really supported the Group 9 overtaking on the Commander Task Group. A huge lift and brilliantly done, along with Kelly Lang. My front office, I praised them earlier today, but they were fantastic. Chris Caetano would say that they all kept me on the rails and out of the tails. And the front office staff also keep the staff aligned to my vision. Leading them were two great chiefs of staff, John Fanchner and Jeff Smith. Their calm demeanor and thoughtful, deliberate manner balanced my energetic tendencies, which is usually a good thing. And I'm indebted to my aides, Andrew Turner is out there, and Billy Poxel, who is now underway on USS Jimmy Carter as a weapons officer. Chiefs of Staff, Rob Knapp, and now Dan Brown, were the glue that only admin LDOs can provide. And Chiefs Kat Massey and Amber Spoon came in and really did a great job as my writer. Command Master Chiefs, first Kevin Scarf and Gabe Miller, two great men, fantastic Command Master Chiefs. Two men I would take into battle any day. In fact, I'd follow those guys into battle. I'm so grateful for their steadfast support and wise counsel to me every day. Things like, sir, I'm going to close the door. Sir, I don't think you want to do that. That happened on a regular basis, and I leaned on them a lot. Truly invaluable. The readiness of our entire submarine force, Chiefs Quarters, that truly delivers on mission readiness, that is the legacy of these Command Master Chiefs. My battle buddies, Region Northwest, Commander Scotty Gray and now BD, and their great wives Candy and Naima. Strike Group 3 Commander Jim Aiken and his wife Tirza. Thanks for your support. I got more than I gave with you, so thanks for everything. I'd like to mention that my bosses have been great. Admiral Caudle, Converse, and Jablon outstanding tacticians, leaders, and strategic thinkers. They developed a commander's intent that guides the submarine force, and we are following that with a great plan, and it is delivering on mission readiness. Anyone who knows me knows how much I've depended upon my wife and leaned on her, Jo. She's raised our 3 phenomenal daughters. They're great. She is my best friend. She's my biggest fan, most reliable teammate. She grounds me every day. And we both learned a lot about ourselves this past year, the past 2.5 years. We learned about how big a load we can carry while being apart, and we are stronger and better people for it. While I will miss everyone here in the Pac Northwest, I'm really excited about getting back with Joanne and the girls. I also want to express my love and immense pride for my 3 daughters, Maddie, Ellie, and Gigi. Maddie just completed her sophomore year at DePaul. Actually, that's also where Master Chief Miller's wife went to school, and his 2 daughters are there as well. Small world. Ellie is getting ready for her plebe summer at the Naval Academy, and Gigi is finishing up 6th grade back in Virginia. She's probably doing backflips right now, or teaching her new puppy, Maple Syrup, how to do some backflips. I'm a Vermonter, so I had to put that in there somehow. Maddie, Ellie, and Gigi, love you all, and I am so proud of the young women that you are becoming. To my brothers and sisters who are my inspiration, and my in-laws, the Garners, who are a constant source of energy for me, thank you all. Although you are all spread across the eastern seaboard, your support for Joanne and me has been unwavering. We are ever so grateful and looking forward to hosting you in D.C. for some Nats ball games, just a short walk from the Navy Yard to the ballpark. To my mom and dad in Vermont, throughout your life, you both have been an enduring example of selfless service. I learned from you both what it means to dedicate yourself to a cause greater than yourself, and it was that same trait that I saw in my wife Joanne that convinced me she was to be my partner for life. I love you both. Stay well. I'll see you at the lake in a few days. Dad, get the cribboards board out. I got some recent experience and practice underway with Brian Freck and Rich Massey on Ohio Blue, and I'm eager to see if I can catch all your timber hauling out there, and I'll bring the scotch. I'm a Gaucher. I will now read my orders. From Chief of Naval Operations to Rear Admiral Doug Perry, subject CNO orders 1031. When directed and upon relief, detach Submarine Group 9 and report to OPNAV staff for duty as Director, Undersea Warfare Division, OPNAV N97.
Rear Admiral Robert M. Gaucher, United States Navy, Prospective Commander, Submarine Group 9.
I will now read my orders. From Chief of Naval Operations, Washington, D.C. Subject, change of duty orders for Rear Admiral Robert M. Gaucher. Orders number CNO 1991. When directed by reporting senior, detach in May 2021 from Compact Fleet. Report not later than June 2021 as Commander, Submarine Group 9.
Ready to relieve. Ready to be relieved.
I relieve you.
I stand relieved. Our report has been properly relieved. Submarine Group 9, half group 4.3, around the top.
Javelin, I relieve Commander, Submarine Group 9.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rear Admiral Robert M. Gaucher, Commander, Submarine Group 9.
Hey, it's great to be back. It's great to be back in the Pacific Northwest and once again part of Team Bangor and the greater Team Kitsap. I'm super excited to be back to the submarine force and to be in command. You have to really pinch yourself every time that the Navy gives you another opportunity to command. So I just can't express how thankful I am for this opportunity and how great it is to be here. Admiral Jablon, Admiral Perry, Admiral Aiken, my integrated battle problem buddy, good to see you again. Admiral Barnett, Major Commanders, Captains, Master Chiefs, distinguished guests, friends and family, good morning. Admiral Jablon, thanks for making the trip here to speak. It's good to see you again. It's been almost 2 weeks, and good to have you. But I really want to thank you over the years for all your advice and mentoring. Most notably, I think I was in your first class at the Submarine Command course. You were my prospective commanding officer instructor back in 2008, and now I look forward to continuing to work with you as part of the SubPac team. Doug, it doesn't seem that long ago that we were changing command at Devron 5, only a few hundred yards from here at Bangor Chapel. At least our turnover times have gotten a little quicker. And thanks once again to you and Joanne for all your support and advice throughout the turnover process. We really appreciate how gracious you've been along the way for now the third time. It gets really easy when you have great people like the Perrys to follow behind. Thanks to all the folks attending virtually. I'm not going to recognize everybody, but there are a few pretty important people I am going to recognize. So I want to recognize my parents, Bob and Nancy Gaucher, watching from Indialantic, Florida today, and my brother watching from Peachtree City, Georgia. I wouldn't be here today without all your sacrifice, support, and counsel throughout my life. And just want to say thanks for all you've done both before and during my naval career. I just can't say enough how much it means to be part of a great family and how much I appreciate all of your support and sacrifice through the years. I love you all. I'd also be remiss if I didn't recognize Renee's parents, Al and Judy Wilder, who are watching from Virginia Beach, Virginia, for all their support over the last 26 years. There are a few people here today that I'd like to recognize. So first of all, Rear Admiral Mike Sharp and Mr. Alan Beam from the Navy League. Good to have you here today. Our good friends Mike and Bonnie Luby and Larry Timby, thanks for coming. Appreciate your friendship throughout the years. Captain John Fancher from the Naval Academy, class of 91. So we have a Hoo-Yah 91, and Doug, I know you'll join me with the Beat Army. So John, good to have you here today. John and I go all the way back to Naval Academy and the entire nuclear pipeline in Harbor Key Apartments back in 1991. I'd also like to recognize our former neighbors, Tom and Karen's Wolfer, who are here today. So great to have you and look forward to catching back up with you back in Kitsap. And finally, the finest naval officer from the town of Littleton, New Hampshire, retired Captain James Childs. And I want to specifically recognize Littleton because my mom is from Littleton, New Hampshire. So that's an important connection for the Gaucher family. And James actually grew up with a couple of my second cousins back there at Littleton High School. So James, great to have you and look forward to catching up with you and Judy soon. Renee, Allie, and Kate, none of this happens without you. Allie and Kate, I am extremely proud of you both, and I appreciate all you've put up with over the years as a couple of Navy kids getting dragged around to multiple high schools in multiple states across the country. So you've done a great job. Renee, you've been a stalwart, and you remain the true matriarch of our family. You keep everything running smoothly no matter how many times we move, where we move, or what my working hours ultimately end up being. So thanks so much for all you do as a role model Navy wife. To Team Bangor, and particularly Submarine Group 9 and our units, I look forward to taking on the many challenges that surround us as we continue to generate readiness while taking on our new role as operational commander of the Pacific Ballistic Missile Submarines. My initial guidance to you is follow our submarine force commander's intent. Prepare for battle as we continue to expand our advantage in the undersea domain, and for us that means our ballistic missile submarines, as the most survivable leg of our nation's nuclear triad, will continue to meet our at-sea commitments in order to maintain and enhance our nation's strategic deterrence. Our guided missile submarines will operate far forward, integrating combat power with the joint force and enabling all-domain maneuver warfare, delivering increased lethality. If we can do those things effectively, we will help our Navy and our nation as we deter our adversaries from conflict and assure our allies of our capability and our commitment to free and open operations on the high seas in the Atlantic and the Pacific. Thank you all for being here today and taking time to observe this change of command. That said, I'm excited to be here at Team Bangor and get to work. Thank you very much.
Guests, please rise and remain standing for the benediction and departure of the official party. Chaplain Walton will now deliver the benediction.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for times of change and transition in our lives. We ask your blessings over Rear Admiral Perry and his family as they transition to their new command. We ask for wisdom for Rear Admiral Gaucher as he assumes command of Subgroup 9. Amen.
Bosun, post the side boys.
Post the side boys, close to the guy. Side boys. Left forward. Right. Okay?
Sub-pack, departing. Rear Admiral, United States Navy, departing. Subgroup 9, departing. Ushers, escort the official party's families to the reception area. This concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for your attendance. Please allow the official party and our honored guests to depart first. You are invited to a reception at the pavilion.